I believe this. I honestly believe this. Yesterday, Mark Cuban came under fire for saying that, well, President Trump doesn't surround himself with smart, challenging women. And of course, he does. Of course, he not only surrounds himself with smart, challenging women, Donald Trump surrounds himself with very hot, smart, challenging women. I mean, who the hell wants to sit around, look at some old-ass liberal with purple hair? No. Find yourself, because there are very, very, very many hot, smart, intelligent women. We all know that's who Donald Trump has been. But I'm starting to believe this conspiracy theory. There's a conspiracy theory out there that says these elites that have been known to have attended Diddy parties are now under pressure to support Kamala Harris. I mean, if you really think about it, why is Mark Cuban so out front supporting Kamala Harris? I mean, he's going to get whacked with taxes. I mean, he's a billionaire. She's already said you're going to pay your fair share. Why is he out in front? Why is LeBron James putting out a video yesterday that essentially slanders Donald Trump? I mean, I got a picture, allegedly, of the girl. Anyway, I'm going to continue and I'm moving forward. Long story short, I'm starting to believe that conspiracy theory because these dudes are so ridiculous. Now, people clapped back at Cuban, and rightfully so. But when we're in a world where we take so serious LeBron James, Ryan Clark, and Mark Cuban, their thoughts on who should be president, all three, well, I don't know about Clark, but the two of the others, well, they live behind gated communities. They fly private jets. In James's case, he made up a racial thing at his house in L.A. when he got there to garner sympathy. I don't know why we take him serious. Hey, Mark, you said what now? Oh, all right. Good. How about when Mark Cuban, his disdain for women, I mean, he ran what was, quote, an animal house environment with the Dallas Mavericks. Cuban had to clean up his entire organization during the Me Too movement because it was found that he basically, and all the people that worked, males that worked with him, were absolute effing pigs. But now Cuban is an authority on women. I've always thought Cuban, never mind, I'm not going to say that either. I'm a voicist. I'm a declared voicist. I've said it forever. You come on my radio show, I can tell immediately by your voice how this is going to go. I've always thought Cuban, well, you know what I'm saying. I always thought Cuban and Tim Walz, well, you know what I'm saying. And I'll stick by that. I don't know. But all of a sudden, he's criticizing women. Now, Dan, what does that have to do with it? I don't really know. I'm just giving you my thoughts on Cuban. Cuban's always been nice to me. He's come on my radio show. I met him once. It was fine. But anyway, here are Cuban's initial comments. Now, I just want you to tell it. I just want to go through this a little bit. Cuban suggests strong, intelligent women can't support Trump, and he doesn't want them around him. So he has insulted every female Trump voter. Now, let's recap. This week, Trump supporters, well, I'm going to make sure I got this right, Nazis, garbage, weak, and dumb. By who? Hey, look, Cuban, I guess, is a terrific businessman, but Todd Wagner, his partner, is the actual businessman. Cuban's the fancy boy out in front. At least that's how I've always viewed him. But this is what Cuban has to say.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
And the idiots in the back, the few ladies are, oh, yeah. Even my dog, you can hear Lula in the background, doesn't like Cuban. Cuban looks exactly like Rosie O'Donnell and Keith Olbermann. Hey, what are you barking at? I don't know. Anyway, it's weird. All of a sudden, Lula started barking. Must be somebody coming at the door. Because when somebody comes, if I get shot during my show, I got to tell you, I'm not excited about it. But anyway, back to Cuban. So Cuban says that. And the world reacts. I sat there and I said, man, just another example of these people that can throw anything they want out at us. They can throw it out. They don't care. Say whatever you want. Dumb. We don't hang out with smart people. Hey, Nazis, garbage. You say all these things. Anytime, any place, with no repercussions. Why is that? Can somebody explain that to me? Well, here's Riley Gaines's reaction to Mark Cuban.
All right, let's just unpack this really quick. Just in the past week alone, Trump supporters have been called Nazis by virtually every media outlet. We have been called garbage by the sitting United States president. And now Mark Cuban has come out and said there is no such thing as a strong, intelligent female supporter of Donald Trump because they don't exist. Respectfully, Mark Cuban, you would not know a strong, intelligent female if she slapped you across the face, which you're such a beta, you might actually kind of like that. So if you are a healthcare provider, if you are a school teacher, if you are a U.S. military member and you are a woman and a Trump supporter, then to Mark Cuban, you are stupid and weak. If this woman right here, Tulsi Gabbard, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army, if this is not a strong, intelligent woman, then what is? Actually, I already know Mark Cuban's answer. This is who Mark Cuban believes to be a strong, intelligent woman. Although we really shouldn't be too surprised that a comment like this would come out of Mark Cuban's mouth, considering that he says border czar Harris has done a good job at the southern border, which maybe we just have different ideas of what constitutes as a good job. But to me, the illegal entrance of 13,000 murderers, 16,000 rapists, and the 320,000 missing children certainly doesn't fit the bill. It doesn't seem like continually disparaging more than half the country less than a week before Election Day is an effective strategy to get your candidate elected. But what do I know? I'm just a stupid, weak woman.
Oh, drop the mic, baby. Yeah, man, Riley Gaines is on it. Look, I just don't take people like Cuban serious. I'm sorry, I don't. I mean, I guess he's a terrific businessman. I think that he's done an okay job owning the Mavericks. It's all good. I just don't take any opinion that they have about, well, politics serious when it's so one-sided. Wouldn't it be interesting? I think it would. If one of the people, the outspoken people on both sides, like both sides, just simply talked about why they believe their candidate should be president. Wouldn't that be interesting? Instead of criticizing, instead of tearing down, instead of calling Nazis, instead of calling fascists, or whatever words that these lefties are using. Wouldn't it be interesting if they just explained their side? But Cuban's not capable of that. I swear to God. I'm starting to believe this now that I saw LeBron James, Cuban, and J-Lo, all of whom have, well, not Cuban, two of whom have shown themselves to be avid goers of P. Diddy's party. I swear to God, all of a sudden, these folks are now coming out voraciously. You know, there's a conspiracy theory out there that says, hey, the FBI and others are threatening them. Get out there for Harris. I know this. The difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 6 months. Now, there's a reason, and I'm not sure the reason. Somebody might say J-Lo is promoting Kamala Harris because woman of color, that whole thing. I'll give you that, maybe. LeBron James certainly isn't going to say anything good about a white dude, as he's famously said, I don't want any white friends. But Cuban's interesting. I wonder, just me, what's going on with him? He's going to get taxed out the wazoo. The jobs report that just came out is embarrassingly bad. The economy, and Cuban knows this far better than anybody else, is going in the tank. There isn't one single policy issue that, well, you can vote for Kamala Harris on over Trump. So I wonder what the hell's going on here that's making these people so desperate, so freaking anxious to call people. Now, here's Sage Steele and her response.
You never see Donald Trump around strong, intelligent women. That's the quote, Mark Cuban. I gotta say, I have known you and respected you and loved you for a really long time and have watched every single one of the comments you've made over the last several months. And I don't agree with them, but I respect them. And what you just said there is disrespectful and it crosses the line. How about Tulsi Gabbard? Let me ask you about Tulsi, your friend Tulsi, right? At the end of the day, if she had not left the Democratic Party, I bet that you would think that she's strong and intelligent, but because she crossed the line, she's not. Maybe more importantly, how about personally? We know each other. You and I sat next to each other. Remember at the IU basketball game when Bob Knight came back 4.5 years ago? Me and my daughter for a couple of hours, and you sat and you talked to, forget about me, how about my young daughter, who I think is intelligent, who looked up to you? How about your own daughters? What if someday they decide to think differently than you with their politics? Are they not strong and unintelligent? What is that? You talk about not being divisive, and look at what you're doing. Shocking, because I thought I knew who you were in your heart and your core. I know you're a damn good businessman, and this is just stupid. I don't get it, Mark. Not okay.
No, it's bullshit. I mean, it's complete crap. I mean, let's be honest. And I don't get too worked up, but I understand why women do. My wife, who is a very intelligent, very strong, very hot woman, just laughed. She's like, can you believe that? Can you believe where this is headed? Look, everybody points to Tulsi Gabbard. I would point to Sage Steele. Sage Steele was just on a stage, I believe, with Donald Trump. I believe Riley Gaines was as well. That's pretty strong, intelligent women. I'm just saying. I mean, Mark Cuban, what do they got on him? I really wonder. I do. I usually don't. I don't. But I also tell my listeners all the time, there's always a backstory, baby. So, of course, here's Cuban now. Mark Cuban is backtracking on all of this because, again, Mark Cuban. Let me clarify something. This is what I said during a conversation why Nikki Haley was not active in his campaign. Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women ever. Just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them, and you know Nikki Haley will call him on his nonsense with reproductive rights and how he sees and treats and talks about women. I mean, he just can't have her around. It wouldn't work. I'm happy to clarify that. I know many strong, intelligent women voting for Trump, including in my extended family. I'm certainly not saying female voters are not smart. Of course you're saying that. Well, strong and intelligent. I know he has worked with strong, intelligent women like Elaine Chao, Kellyanne, Ivanka, many others. I stand by my opinion that he's not like being challenged publicly. That's not what you said. I mean, we can read right there. You never see him around strong, intelligent women ever. That's what he said. Now, you can clarify it. You can backtrack. You can be the pussy that you are. I get it. Well, how about one time just saying, you know what? I misspoke. I did see where Cuban said, well, you can't nail every interview. Really? Why not? No, seriously. Why not? I've done 1 million interviews, and I've never gone to the point of calling anybody a racist name, a sexist name, nothing. Why can't you nail it? That's along the lines of Tim Walz, oh, I'm just a knucklehead. So now we're just, hey, look, I don't know. What can I tell you? I'm not going to apologize. You can't nail them all. Move it along. Look, I don't get worked up about Mark Cuban. He is a DSB. I'll let you figure out what that means, at least to Indiana basketball players. See, Indiana basketball players, I wasn't there when Cuban was there. I was just after. And when Cuban became a thing, guys that were there like, that guy used to run around literally as the annoying white guy that every major college basketball team had. Hey, come to my bar. Hey, we'll let you in the back. I mean, all this, it was amazing. And now Cuban became something, and now we're supposed to pay attention. I don't give a rat's ass what these bought and sold, quote, celebrities think about a politician. I love women. Women get me, and I get women. And Donald Trump, I got to say, man, whatever he did in his past, that's cool. I don't see anybody pointing to what he's done in the recent past relative to women. Don't say it. You better hope. Cuban and others, nothing comes back from 30 years ago. Man, it's amazing to me. Fascinating. The Trump-bashing ESPN analyst, I can't care about Ryan Clark. I love how Ryan Clark promotes himself. I like how Ryan Clark gets pensive. Like he's really thinking. He aspires to be the wokest sports analyst. He'll never get there. And fills his Twitter timeline with anti-Trump, pro-Colin Kaepernick nonsense, has the internet buzzing, he does, after dressing up as Bill Belichick in whiteface. You can't make this stuff up, man. ESPN, the non-political sports network, there he is. I got no problem with the outfit, but I don't want to hear any problem if somebody dresses up, a white dude dresses up like O.J. Simpson. I mean, you wokies get so offended over everything. I don't care what you dress up with this Halloween. I really don't. But we all understand this, and this is from an OutKick article. If the shoe was on the other foot, the news cycle would be off the charts today. It'd be chaos. CNN hosts would be melting. Pitchforks would be out. The mob would be seething. Kamala would probably call a presser just to address it. The FBI would look into it. You imagine you show up, hey, man, I'm O.J. Simpson. Blackface, the whole deal. Oh, man. Look, I don't really care. I know I'm supposed to. I know I'm supposed to be over the charts. I know. But I understand the world we live in. ESPN and others, they're frauds. National media, they're frauds. I'm not going to say anything. You can't criticize Ryan Clark. Oh, man. And Ryan Clark, again, one of the wokest, most unchinned people in sports, would be the first to call him out. He would. Ryan Clark got his titties in a ringer, as they say. He did, over Joey Bosa, or Nick Bosa, excuse me. Why do I always want to call him Joey? Ryan's bigly mad. The shut up and dribble mob hasn't attacked Nick Bosa the way they did Kaepernick and LeBron James. Well, is anybody attacking LeBron James now? LeBron James, man. I swear to God, he and Cuban, they might have tight-nined it. When politics were brought into sports, Nick Bosa's MAGA alliance is no secret and no one really cares. You guys all care. What are you talking about? You could not care more. You guys care so much. Every time somebody says, make America great again, some African-American dude on some channel flips out. Kaepernick. What about Tebow? We can play the whataboutism game. I so don't give a shit about Ryan Clark. I can't even tell you. But it's still apparent that crashing an interview with a MAGA hat has been received no differently than black athletes standing up for equality. Really? Like never before. Partisanship now divides our country, and it's clear where the great again following stands. Yeah, I do. I stand to make America great. It's clear. I mean, African-American wages were high. Look at how many African-Americans have finally woken up. Charles Barkley said it best, man. Y'all are being fooled. Democrats keep voting for Democrats, and we keep being poor. African-Americans keep voting for Democrats, and we keep being poor. That's almost in a direct quote. It's unbelievable. Yeah, any intentional public and flippant display of MAGA support is only done with reason. Sure, they want Trump to win. What's the reason, Ryan? Fill us in, you intellectual midget. Fill me in, Ryan Clark. You know, you're like Jay Will. Interesting. Say what you mean and mean what you say, son. Come on, especially for an athlete. It's funny. Yet not surprising that the shut-up crowd has been silent. Guess it's easier to deal with someone who thinks exactly like you. Well, of course. Right? I mean, I know what he's insinuating. He's insinuating everybody's racist. Screw that. The African-American, Hispanic, people of color, isn't that what we're supposed to say? Crowd has rushed over to Trump. The intelligent ones. The bought and sold ones, not so much. The ones trying to get that cap money, not so much. Say what you mean to mean what you say, Ryan Clark, whiteface Ryan Clark. Do you really want to be white? Are you trying to be white? What are you trying to do? I'm curious about that. Because I watch these things. Like, I'd never think to go blackface. I look at myself and say, okay, who can I be? But Clark knows what he's doing. He wants people to talk about him. But he's not good at his job. When you turn on the NFL and you turn on Get Up and Ryan Clark is there, not a single person turns it on to see what Ryan Clark has to say. I remember the head of ESPN at the time, Norby Williamson, said whenever anything happens in college basketball, people are tuning in to see what I have to say. That's true. Nobody turns in to see what Ryan Clark has to say, so he's got to be a race baiter. He's got to do that Jay Will thing and stay passive-aggressive. Yes, guess it's easier to deal with someone who thinks exactly like you. Ryan, that's what you want. All you want is people to think exactly like you. You guys are so full of shit. Anybody that thinks differently than you has to be called a name, right, Ryan Clark? Anybody that thinks MAGA has to be called a racist. Anybody that doesn't toe the line of victimhood for African Americans is a racist. Anybody that doesn't toe the line and vote for a woman of color who is a complete dumbass is racist. Ryan, you and ESPN and all your brethren there, you want everybody to think like you. And nobody does. Because we're not racist like you, Ryan. We're not. We're not full of shit like you, Ryan. We're not looking for the next buck. We're not looking to be grifters. We're not looking to be race hustlers, Ryan. We're just not. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You listen to the Ryan Clarks of the world, you think everybody's at odds. You go to my Kroger here on 79th and Fall Creek, and anybody that knows Indianapolis knows 79th and Fall Creek, which is literally a quarter mile away. No, that's a lie. It's 9/10 of a mile, then another 1/10 of a mile. So it's almost an exact mile from my house right here. And it is a melting pot. Rich. Some really rich. Like I've seen, like really rich dudes in there. Poor, black, white, everybody gets along. I've never seen one problem. In fact, what I have seen is everybody, when asked, or even without asked, helping one another. But if you listen to Ryan Clark, everything is supposed to be negative. We're racist. We don't think like you, Ryan. I'm going to go back to your own words. You are the epitome of guess it's easier to deal with someone that thinks exactly like you. There you go. You should be the champion of the white man because the white man has hired you. Now, don't tell me Dave Roberts did. Nobody's on that show without Greenberg. No one's on that show without Burke Magnus or Jimmy Patero's approval. Not in this day and age. Guess what? Every guy I mentioned, white dude. Little NFL reporters and blogger boys are butthurt. They're just I'm butthurt. See, I got this thing that pops up in my chair and squeezes my ass, and it makes me butthurt. Every time I say the word butthurt, well, I'm starting to kind of like it. Lee! Oh, wait, she's not here. Anyway, over the NFLPA's proposed changes to player access. Hey, I'm going to get into this. No longer conducting interviews while in the locker room after the game. It's clear they're worried about their precious access being cut off. If you really listen to the questions that are asked, and we've had a lot of them this week because of Anthony Richardson here in Indiana. Now, Colts media is different. Colts media are bought and paid for by Jimmy Irsay and Chris Ballard. They always have. But if you really listen to the questions, they're stupid. They really are. Now what is happening is the reporters stand the opposite. They see the ESPN or the ABC local station come in, and they try to stand opposite the camera. So when you're talking to Anthony Richardson, if you're opposite the camera, the ABC affiliate is picturing Richardson, and you might get in the shot that shows up on SportsCenter. That's a true story. They're so ridiculous. Here's what I've always said. At least in Indianapolis, reporters go in the locker room to do three things. One, ask a question. Two, get an autograph. Three, look at a schlong. That's it. Question, autograph, take a peek. No, and I don't blame athletes. I remember going to Bob Knight 100 years ago going, Coach, man, I know you've always done this, but there's some weird dudes in there. And they come in our locker room after games. Knight was the only guy before they had press conference that allowed reporters in the locker room. One dude was sitting at my chair. I said, get your ass out of my chair. Just creepy. And I saw one dude back in the day, I'm not going to mention him, taking a peek at a guy we call Big Daddy, Winston Morgan. I'm like, what are you doing? I can't stand the fact that these idiots are allowed in locker rooms. I'll never understand how the NCAA allows it. I'll never understand it. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. You know what I mean? Never. So anyway, long story short, here's the deal. When I look at what's going on, I say to myself, get them the hell out. I've been covering football players for 35 years. Toughness is the defining characteristic. Torn biceps, separated shoulders. This ain't baseball. Not only the request, but the language being used is laughable. I think they said safe space. I'm a bleeding heart lefty. I believe in sensibility. I take that serious. But the football players I've known for years have got to be rolling their eyes on it. These tough-ass dudes saying their privacy is being violated. Hey, look, let me explain something to you, Mike Silver. I know you're in there to look at a schlong or ask a question or get an autograph, but why do guys have to do that? No, see, guys were always at the whim of reporters. Now they're standing up. They are. They're absolutely standing up. And I don't blame them. I'm telling you, we used to have that 100 years ago. Smartest thing Bob Knight ever did is get rid of that. The NFL has the best, most accurate, most nuanced local coverage. No, it does. Not in Indy. And it's because beat writers can go up to a guy and just say, hey, I was thinking on that defensive bust, maybe the call was something, and this happened, and a player can just say yes or no. Kevin Clark, look at you. Look at you. You've never played with anything other than yourself. The coverage of the NFL is pandering and horseshit. And there is absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, gained by reporters being in a locker room. Nothing. Zero. But yes, if the NFL did wind up adopting the NFL proposal here, Strauss notes there's no indication that they will as of yet, that would likely negatively impact media coverage of the league. Well, of course it would, because the little pussies would get butthurt. That's what little pussies do. It's especially true if it's done in a way where reporters don't get to have the casual conversation Clark mentioned. Why does a player want to have a casual conversation with this little D-bag Clark or Mike Silver? Why? Why are they subjected to a casual conversation? Why isn't this a business? Why isn't this treated like a business? You know what I mean? I don't know. And it's notable to hear the likes of Silver, Clark, and Malin sound off on potential pitfalls here. Yeah, good for them.